Today's podcast episode is for anyone out there who's ever had one of those days where everything just seems to go wrong, because my past 24 hours kind of went that way. But because of the things I'm going to share with you in today's podcast episode, I, during those 24 hours, felt the most amount of gratitude, joy, surrender, and freedom because of what I'm going to be sharing with you in today's podcast episode. And before I give you all of those tools, let me just share what happened yesterday when I woke up in a great mood and I had just made my cup of coffee, done my journaling, my meditation, and was sitting and responding to all of the different community members who had been posting inside of my community group. Because I then decided that I wanted to create my post of the day for the community. In this post, I wanted to include a little photo, a little selfie with me and my coffee and my journal, feeling all cozy and happy. I snapped the photo, I post the photo and the post inside of my community, and I knock my coffee all over my computer. Well, it died. No, it would still turn on, but I could not do anything. Like, it didn't react to anything that I was doing. So I did what I thought I should do: blow dry it, try to dry it until the repair store opened up. And I went to them and they were like, yeah, it's probably going to take 5 days if we are to be able to turn this computer on again. And I do all my work on my computer. Yes, I can absolutely do things on my phone or my iPad, but I cannot do any editing. I mean, you can do Canva on your phone. I don't know, does anyone do Canva on their phone? Because it's hard. There's many things that just makes it harder to do on your phone, and everything's so much easier on your computer. So basically I was like, okay, well, that's just how it is. Nothing to do about it. Leave my computer at the store. What I didn't tell you was that right after I'd knocked over my coffee on my computer, I get a message saying that I'm not going to be able to do this family trip to Denmark that I had planned for and was very excited about. I'd planned for it for a year because my grandparents are both turning 80 this year. So they're taking the whole family to this little gathering where we're going to sleep and hang out and stay at this vacation place, let's just call it. So I got that a year ago because they planned it advanced. Also, I was going home for my other grandpa's birthday and my mom's 10-year anniversary for her business that she started 10 years ago. She was a hairdresser when I was growing up, and in her 40s, she took probably 10 different certificates and educations to become a psychotherapist, a couples therapist, a family therapist, a sex therapist. So many different educations that I can't even remember the names of all of it. But 10 years ago, she started her business. And this year, she is celebrating her 10 years. And for her, obviously, it's a big deal that her daughter's there to celebrate her. So is it for my grandparents that I would be there for their birthday. So I had planned this 2-week trip back to Denmark. And right after I'd knocked my coffee over my computer, I get this message: due to certain circumstances that I'm not allowed to go to Denmark, basically. And that was a bummer. I was really excited about it. But over the past 3 days before I received that email, I had gotten the idea that the likelihood of me being able to go back was not big, but getting that confirmation obviously made it absolute certain that I wasn't going to be able to go back home. So suddenly this trip that I was about to go on 2 days later, it was Monday and I was supposed to leave Wednesday. So basically like Tuesday would have been my only last full day. But in those 5 minutes, my work suddenly couldn't be done because I had no computer, which most of my work, a lot of the work I was going to be doing on that day was editing. I was also going to be writing on my book, which that made that hard that I couldn't write on my book that day. I also couldn't, do my work. However, I keep my head high. I had been bummed out the past couple of days because I knew that I potentially wouldn't be able to go to Denmark, and I decided that now I had the clarity. There was nothing for me to do about it. It's just how it is. I decided to remind myself that there's always a reason when things come up. I'm always taken care of. I know that for absolute certain. And if I'm ever doubting it, I just remind myself of how many times things have unfolded in a way that I did not want them to in the moment, but how it then turned out far greater when I decided to release the resistance towards what was happening in my life and accepted and knew that whatever it was, whatever the reason for it is, it's for me. And I will only be able to witness why that is if I choose to look for it and if I choose to believe that it is for me. So both with the computer and with my sudden canceled trip to Denmark, I decided to look for the good and find extreme gratitude for this day, this moment. And this may seem actually a little weird, but what I do in those situations is like, think about how worse things could have turned out. I could have gotten in a car accident and my body could have, maybe I wouldn't have been able to move for a year. Or someone who I cared about, something far worse could have happened to them. There's so much worse things that could have happened than what happened. And I like to think of that, right? Because then I can be grateful that just that thing happened. Now, at this time, I didn't know that whether my computer was going to survive or what would happen. But luckily enough, later I call and what they share with me is that they would need to get some new parts and, well, basically restructure some things in my computer. So I don't need to buy a full new computer. I just need to pay for, obviously, the repair and whatever parts they need to get into it. And again, in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky that I don't have to buy a full new computer. I only have to purchase the parts and the repair, even though obviously, as we know, that's crazy expensive, but it's way cheaper than buying a completely new computer. And the flight that I had booked for Denmark, which was $1,000, I'm not able to get the money refunded. Like, it's just, the ticket is gone. But again, so much worse things could have happened than me losing that flight. And because of these thoughts of gratitude, really, in the midst of things going wrong, I was able to maintain a really gratitude happy mood. As we know, gratitude is the greatest tool we can use to feel joy in our life. And I believe there's always something good that we can focus on. I felt grateful for my life, the fact that I am living in Santa Monica, which, oh my gosh, I should be really grateful for that. I was focusing on the fact that I have a family that I could go home to. Right now I can't, but at some point I'll be going back again and celebrating with them and spending time with them. And the fact that I have a family that loves me and that I love, focusing on that is so beautiful and powerful. By the way, I always record on my computer. I have these microphones attached to my computer. And today I found a way to attach it to my phone so that I could record this podcast episode. Because otherwise I actually thought I wasn't going to be able to record a podcast episode. But turns out there are different cables you can use to attach it to your iPhone. So I'm very grateful for that. And something else I'm grateful for is that yesterday when I released this pressure, this resistance, because my computer broke down, which was probably less of problems than the fact that I couldn't go back to Denmark. But the fact that my computer broke down, I'm very structured with my work. I love my work. I don't want to do anything else. I'm so grateful for everything that I get to do. But the fact that I wasn't able to do my regular work, I released the resistance towards trying to find a way to force that work that I was supposed to have done happen. And instead, I opened up for what work I was supposed to do. Well, really, if you want my honest truth, what I ask the universe, I got this, I think it's from A Course in Miracles. Where will you have me go? What will you have me do? What will you have me say? And to whom? I opened that up. And when I opened that up, I was able to start creating things that I'd had an idea to create previously, but had held off because other more important work, as I thought, had been holding me back from creating space for me to create that work. And I actually got a realization to do something that I've thought about doing for a while, but throughout these 24 hours, I went deep into the real reason why I actually hadn't gotten started on it. And I'm still reflecting on it in my mind. Whenever I make a big decision, I like to walk around with the thought for a little while. But because I was able to I had the space, the time to dive deeper into why I actually hadn't done it before and come up with other deeper reasons as to why I hadn't started previously, I was able to dive so deep that I had come to new awarenesses. And as we know, once we've become aware of something, we can't unsee it. We've already seen it. It's shown its light. So now we know the truest truth. And knowing that deep truth now as to why I hadn't gotten started on it previously, I can now let that simmer around in my mind as to whether I want to do it or not. And I potentially might choose to do it because I now have come to the realization as to the deep reason why I hadn't started prior. And if I, let's say, still had to go fly to Denmark and my computer had still been working, so I'd been working on all the things that I always work on, who knows if maybe I hadn't come to this awareness, and who knows that me having this awareness and me potentially deciding that I want to do this thing, who knows how that could change the directory of my life. We never know, right? Whenever we take a chance and we do something new, we decide and we commit to doing something new, oftentimes it can be so life-changing that it completely changes the direction of our life, or at least have such a massive identity shift or mindset shift so that it impacts every other area of our life. And who knows if that was the reason why all of these things had to happen. It was for me to come to that awareness, to then make that choice, to then change my life. It could be something completely different, but what I do know is that it is happening for me. Whenever something is not working out in the way I want, it is happening for me. Now, the other thing that I decided to do this morning before I started recording this podcast episode is that I still have my camera and I still have my brain. So I decided to come up with a bunch of different ideas for reels I wanted to shoot. And instead of sitting on my computer and working, I just shot a bunch of different reels this morning. And I think they were pretty good. And I felt really good doing it because I wasn't in a rush, because I am still waiting to hear from this repair computer company. And I went and got a bunch of groceries, so a lot of it was for food. And I just had a good time doing it because I decided to feel grateful and lucky that today I had this sudden time and space to create these reels that I wanted to create that tend to be very relatable and people enjoy watching on my channel. So another reason to be grateful. And I know that whatever it is that's going on in your life, it's very easy to find the reasons as to why there's no way to be grateful. But if you dive a little deeper and you just relax and let go and surrender and open up to the fact that something greater could be waiting for you, I believe that the chances of it coming to you are so much greater. And I believe that you're going to feel better. And I believe that it can really make any day a good day. I'm not saying every day has to be a good day. Sometimes you want to have a shitty day, and that's okay. You are always allowed to feel all of your emotions. And I allow myself to feel all of my emotions. When I thought that maybe I wouldn't be able to go back to Denmark, I was sad for a while. And I allowed my sadness to arise and release. And then I was able to move on. Because I didn't hold it in. I wasn't like, no, you can't be sad about this. You have to be happy. No, I was sad for a little bit, like before I had gotten the final confirmation about it. And I allow myself to be sad and release it. But what that allows me to do is then at one point, I'll want to move on and I'll want to look for why this is for me. We are humans. We have emotions and we should be feeling our emotions. But I believe that it's awesome to be able to release them once they no longer serve us. Because if I'd spent all day yesterday as well being sad about it, I don't think it would have served me. And I actually, like I mentioned, had a really good day. And something that I would like for you to do that I have done a ton and I've shared it on my podcast before, whenever you're having a bad day or something really terrible is happening in your life, because obviously these two things, they're tiny compared to what you may be going through, what many people in this world are going through. These are just obviously like supposed to be examples of what can happen on a day-to-day basis. And I know that there are illnesses, deaths, a lot more challenging things that happen in people's lives that obviously this can not even be close to be compared to. But I'm just hoping that if you are going through little challenges, that you can be reminded that you do have a choice to change your perspective. Let it suck and then change your perspective and remind yourself that it is for you. But what I was about to say before is that what I do and what I would love for you to do is that, I mean, I've done it so many times, is think back of all of the times in my life where things didn't go to plan. And it could be relationships that once you thought was supposed to be forever, and now today you're so grateful that it wasn't. It could be a job opportunity that you had that because you lost that job, it led you to a far greater path that you couldn't see at the time when you lost the job, but it turned out to be for you, just like the relationship. Something I've mentioned before is that in 2020, I had gotten my dream job. I would be making my dream income. I would have a lot of freedom on my hands while doing this job. So it didn't require too much of me. It had to do with traveling and it was very exciting. However, 2020 happened and no more traveling was really a thing, right? So I lost the job. And at the time, it felt like a hard hit. And what am I going to do now? But what that led to is everything that I have today. It was when I honed in on creating my content, both on my Instagram, on my TikTok, and on my YouTube, which has led to everything that I do today. Now that I do this podcast, I'm writing a book and I have the most beautiful, incredible community that if I'd never started those platforms, I would have never been connected to because they wouldn't have seen my content because maybe I wouldn't have been creating content in the way that I do now. So that thing that I did not get that ended up not really even being a thing was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. And I know you've gone through challenges in your life, things that have turned out not in the way that you wanted. And if you want a really good exercise, I would recommend that you write down the hardest things that have happened in your life. And next to every single thing, write down how that got you closer to the good things that you have in your life today. Maybe it simply just helped you become a stronger human, which because you're a stronger human today, you're able to share that with your kids and show them how to be strong and how to overcome their challenges because you've gone through your challenges and that it will not break you. It will not break you. And whoever here is going through something really tough right now, I need to say that again. This will not break you. You are so much stronger than this. You have gone through so many challenges throughout your life, and this will not break you. Maybe you're someone who needs a vision, a brighter future, and I would love for you to write down on a piece of paper what that would look like, what it could look like a year or 3 years or 5 years from today if you were capable of breaking out of this or overcoming it in the best way possible. What could your future look like if you were able to overcome this with strength and power and positivity? Because if you can create a future vision that excites you or at least makes you feel warm or a little bit better on the inside, potentially it will be easier for you to overcome and to remind yourself every day that something greater is waiting for you. Some may just simply need to pray and be reminded that God or the universe or some sort of higher power is here with you, supporting you. You're not alone in this. You're not. There is an energy surrounding you that is so powerful. And because of that, you will never be alone. And remind yourself that this is for you. And you may not be able to see it yet, but eventually you will. So just hang in there and keep searching for the gratitude. Little things like, wow, the sun is out today and it feels so nice on my skin. Or wow, this bird is singing. How beautiful is that? Do something in nature. Nature has been scientifically proven that it can heal you. Every time when I have been in LA, away from my family, and I've been feeling so miserable because something hasn't gone my way. I've struggled for years in Los Angeles. It's not been an easy journey for me. I would go on a hike and it would heal me. Now every day I jump in the ocean. And it feels so good. It feels like I'm anew when I jump out of the ocean. Yeah, I just felt like saying that. Nature, journaling, reminding yourself of that bigger vision. And you will not know every step that may need to happen for that to happen. And I sure haven't with everything that I've been so lucky to get in my life. I've not been able to put the puzzles together, or when I've wanted to put the puzzles together, they've not been put together in the way that I thought. But God, the universe, the higher power has somehow made the things happen whenever I've searched for the gratitude, searched for the opportunity, trusted that it would happen in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the challenges that came up. So whoever needed to be reminded of that today, I hope that this helped and that you trust in the process and in the journey, because if you do, miracles are going to show up for you. everything is going to be brought to you at the perfect timing. And a little bit later, you're going to be able to understand. And maybe you will never be able to understand, but far greater things are in store for you than you can ever imagine, especially if you trust that it is and that everything that is happening is for you. It makes life so much better. It really does. We're starting our Lean and Strong Summer May Challenge soon. And if you're listening to this podcast episode later, you can always sign up for my community, which gives you access to every single one of my challenges, which has all of my workouts, different levels, whether you're working out from home or at the gym, depending on how much time you have available, there's different options. I have 6 new meal plans, which has been put together through my 7 different recipe books, all of the recipes that are in there. I have all of my journaling challenges. We have weekly conversations on topics like this, everything that people are going through. Our daily chats and supportive, encouraging community is just wonderful. And we chat every single day. I respond to every single message, and I would love to have you join if you feel called to. I put the link in the description for you to sign up. And if you found this podcast episode useful, if you know that you have a friend that's going through a pretty rough time right now, maybe send this to them. I love when friends send me podcast episodes because it's usually pretty spot on, because if they found it valuable and they thought of me, I think there's typically a reason, and it turns out to most of the time be the case. So yeah, send it to them if you found it useful. Subscribe so that you don't miss another episode, and just go out there and have a beautiful day, and remember that everything is happening for you because it is. And when we believe it, it just makes life so much better. Feel so good within. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm.